tough consecutive loss for Kim Mulkey's LSU Tigers last night as they fell to number 4 in the SEC and lost to an unranked Mississippi State 77-73. The Tigers are stepping into a bye week this week and won't be back on the court until Sunday, February 4th against Florida. And the big question is, what the heck is happening to this LSU team that previously had the longest winning streak in the country this season to now losing 2 games in a row? The gymnastics squad came back home this past weekend and have been resting up from their weekend loss against the Missouri Tigers and now have a lot of work to do to keep up with their climb to national champions this season. The gymnastics team will be back on the floor this Friday inside the PMAC against Arkansas. Coach Jay Clark is hoping that this team will continue persevering through the hard times and not rely as heavily on digging themselves out of trouble as they did all last season and this season so far. This is Camryn Conner, your host with Tiger Rag Audibles podcast, and after a word from one of our sponsors, I'll dive into today's episode.
The East Baton Rouge Library says this is the year to invest in you. The library brings value by connecting you to information, resources, materials, technology, and experiences. We make a positive difference in your life. All you need is your library card. Stop by one of our 14 locations, open 7 days a week, or find us online at ebrpl.com.
After a tough loss against South Carolina last week, Kim Mulkey's Tigers were not ready to take the heat against another team. Last night, the number 9 Tigers went to Starkville, Mississippi, and fell short to Mississippi State, losing 77-73. LSU fell to number 4 in the SEC. This marks only the second time in 3 seasons under Coach Mulkey that the Tigers have lost consecutive games. The Tigers suffered back-to-back losses January 23rd of 2022 to Florida, 73-72, and then January 27th against Arkansas, 90-76. LSU got off to an 8-2 start, but Mississippi State used defensive pressure and sharp shooting to build a 16-10 lead into the first media timeout. The Bulldogs held LSU scoreless for over 3 minutes through the middle of the first quarter. The Tigers held Mississippi State without a field goal for the final 3 minutes of the quarter. LSU ended the opening quarter with a perfectly executed full court inbounds. Michaela Williams passed the ball to Angel Reese over midcourt. Reese dropped it off to Flau'jae Johnson, who then assisted a wide-open Anissa Morrow underneath the rim to make it 20-18 Bulldogs.
And we played in spurts again. You know, we had the lead and we did some things early, and then again in the second half, we can't seem to defensively get stops with this team when they matter. That's how we lost the South Carolina game. You have to make stops at this level, and we don't seem to be doing it.
LSU went into halftime with a 5-point lead. The Bulldogs outscored the Tigers 28-17 in the third quarter to take a 6-point advantage into the final quarter of the game. Mississippi State led by as many as 9 in the final quarter, but LSU, using a full court press, was able to get it within 3, but ultimately the Tigers did not get the stops they needed to have a chance to tie or to take the lead. LSU first-team All-American forward Angel Reese contributed her 12th double-double of the season with 20 points and 18 rebounds. Flau'jae Johnson added 18 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists, while Anissa Morrow had 14 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 steals, and Michaela Williams 11. Everyone obviously saw the depth that this LSU team had last year, and even the depth that this team had at the beginning of the season. But they don't have that anymore. That's due to injuries and one player having been kicked off the team with little to no explanation. And learning to work with that has been noticeably difficult for these Tigers. Coming into a bye week, Coach Kim Mulkey talks a little about this loss and what exactly is on her mind at this time.
Well, this is a bye week, so we'll be off tomorrow and we'll be off Wednesday, and just get back on the floor and keep working. I'm not one to make excuses, but sometimes I need to step back and go, that's a freshman out there. That's a sophomore out there. That's a new player out there. And I think everybody just gets caught up into their rankings or gets caught up into how great they are. At the end of the day, experience matters. And when you don't have experience on the floor, you lack leadership. And if you lack leadership, you tend to lack a little bit of chemistry when things get tough. And I think it's more of that than anything on the defensive end. Everybody starts getting focused on their man or they ball watch. So it's a little bit of everything. I don't think it's just one thing on the defensive end. We don't have the fleet of foot guards out there that can make up things when they get beat off the dribble. So we got to do a better job of helping each other.
The Tigers won't be back on the court on their usual Thursday due to bye week, but they'll be back this Sunday, February 4th at 1 p.m. when they host Florida, which is currently 11th in the SEC with a record of 11-8 overall and 2-5 in conference play. They'll be inside the PMAC and on the SEC network. LSU Gymnastics has dropped 2 spots in the rankings. This time last week, the team sat at number 3, and after a disappointing loss at Missouri, the Tigers have moved to number 5. The Missouri Tigers won 197.325 with LSU's 197.225. The Tigers rank amongst the top 20 teams in the country on all 4 events, including top 5 placements on vault, bars, and floor. LSU enters Week 5 with averages of 49.363 on vault, 49.469 on bars, 49.481 on floor, and has improved their beam average to 49.056.
Disappointed from Friday night. I think I told Rabelais after the meet, I said it's unacceptable, and it is. And it's a 197.225, and even with all the mistakes we made leading up to the end of the meet, we still had a chance to win it right up till the end. So the issue is not the score or the outcome as much as it is just adhering to our standard and being and having an identity that doesn't allow those things to happen. So I don't know. We're going to find out. I don't know if we were overconfident or what it was, but we're gonna address it beginning today. And but the sky's not falling, and as you guys have heard me say, wins and losses don't determine a whole lot for us. And we outscored each of our first 2 meets, so it still was from that standpoint good. The issue, you get excited about what happened 2 weeks ago, and you feel like that's a turning point, and you want it to bear fruit and create momentum, and when that doesn't happen, it can be disappointing, and it's disappointing for all of us. So we will, as we do on good things and bad things, we will turn the page, but we will also make sure that we adhere to the standard that we have for ourselves.
Outside of the past Kentucky meet, this competition was LSU's second best score this season. So looking back at past meets from this season, LSU's 197.225 isn't necessarily bad at all. It just feels bad comparing it to the amazing meet that LSU had against Kentucky the week before.
Out of 10.
There's so many great things. I mean, we're sitting here talking about all the, how horrible it is. It really wasn't that bad. It's bad to lose. I don't like to lose. I've been irritated about it for the last 72 hours or however long it's been since it happened. It's irritating. It's not irritating to lose if you know you lose, you get your butt beat. It's irritating to lose when you don't execute. And when so we went from a meet where we executed at an exceptionally high level, and we want that to be our norm, and then we let the edge come off a little bit. But it's not this catastrophe, there's nothing over in this season, and we certainly aren't certainly aren't in some do or die or gloom and doom sort of scenario here. I mean, we went 197-225 and we're whining about it. So let's be careful how far we go with the negativity. I just know that we have a higher expectation for ourselves, and that's what we're going to judge ourselves by. And we did not meet our own expectations on Friday night.
This team is still climbing for a trip to the Final Four this year. I mean, freshman Connor McLean fell in the beginning of this meet during the bars rotation just to come back and highlight the beam lineup in the Tigers' last meet at Missouri with her first perfect score on the event. Seniors Haley Bryant and Kaya Johnson continue to lead the way for the Tigers as they both earned spots in the individual rankings for the third week in a row. Bryant owns the top spot in the all-around and remains one of the top gymnasts in the country after week 4. The senior competed on 3 events for the Tigers on Friday and posted scores of 9.9 on vault, 9.925 on bars, and 9.850 on beam. She enters week 5 with averages of 9.9 and better on 3 rotations and top 20 placements on all 4 rotations. Individually, she ranks 3rd on vault, 2nd on bars, 7th on floor, and 16th on beam. Johnson continues to build momentum each week as she ranks number 25 in the all-around. She was the only Tiger to compete on all 4 events against Missouri to move her average to 3.9375. Johnson sits in the top 25 in bars and floor rankings with her averages of 9.894 and 9.925 on the 2 events. These Tigers aren't backing down, and the climb continues this Friday inside the PMAC against Arkansas at 7:30 p.m. and on the SEC Network.
It's your time to move things forward. U.S. Army Reserve.
All right, that's it for today's episode. Coach Matt McMahon's Tigers aren't scheduled to be on the court until Saturday, February 3rd against Arkansas inside the PMAC at 11 a.m. and on ESPN2. The Lady Tigers won't be back on the court until the Sunday, February 4th against Florida at 1 p.m. inside the PMAC. You can catch this game on the SEC Network. The climb for the gymnastics team continues this Friday inside the PMAC against Arkansas at 7:30 p.m. and on the SEC Network. Stay tuned here and on TigerRag.com for more insider chats and all things LSU sports, and I'll be back later this week.